This really does look terrible, doesn't it? I know we're on air. Aloha! Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. I am Mike Miller, your humble host, and with me again tonight for the Aloha Hour, my co-host, Edwin Boyette.
Aloha. I hope everybody's doing fantastic today.
Swimmingly. Oh, hello. You don't want to see my desk. It is like, I have this clear area here, and then everything else is just disaster.
Oh, my desk at work is a disaster. It is piled with everything.
Yeah. I just leave enough room for me to be able to move a page around, and then I stack everything. And it's a slanted desk, so it's constantly sliding down. Not organized. Anyways.
So tonight, we were in a stream not too long ago with a young writer named Nasser, and I was thinking through it, and it reminded me of the parable of the lost son or the prodigal son.
Hold on a second.
With a young writer named Nasser.
Let me mute me.
And I was thinking through it, and it reminded. I see that you're muted. So anyway, this the conversation with Nasser reminded me of the tale of the prodigal son, or the parable of the prodigal son. This is from Luke 15. This is the New International Version. I prefer King James, but
yeah, always.
Here we go. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. "Your brother has come," he replied, "and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound." The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when the son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we have had to celebrate and be glad, because the brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." I always like to tell the prodigal son, all who wander are not lost, and we hope all come back into the fold.
You know what I marvel at about that story? It is, spiritual matters aside, it is such a concise, perfectly written story.
Yes.
I mean, you have beginning, middle, and end. You have struggle. You have everything. I've actually written a movie treatment based on that very short story. I kind of fleshed it out, set it in a modern context, and it's called A Certain Man.
Certain Man. It's nice.
That's how it starts in the King James. A certain man had two sons.
A certain man had two sons. Yeah, it does.
But I read it and I'm like, wow, that is like a textbook like story pitch. You've got all the important beats, right? There's not an extraneous line, an extraneous word, and you've got this concise, absolute story, and that what you just read in like 1 minute. That's fantastic. I love it.
No, it is.
God's a good writer.
and again, that was from the New International Version, the NIV, which some people call the not inspired version, and I prefer the King James, but but the King James, the King James Bible has massively influenced the English language.
Yeah. Sure, absolutely.
So what's good tonight, Mr. Miller?
What is good? Life is good, brother. Life is good. I am at 35,000 something. So I broke 35,000 today on Lone Star. So it's chugging along. It's you know, I'm not breaking any records, but I don't have to.
Yeah, but you're solidly in the realm of success.
I am. I am.
And I've downloaded one of these apps that my wife uses to make videos. Um, and I haven't finished it yet. I've got like an idea for a story. Let me see if I can find this for you. And I don't even know how well this will show up, so we'll see.
All right.
Let's see. Make sure this is. Yeah, I don't even know if you can see this. Let me see. Let me come over to Google Hangouts and see.
Oh, cool. Oh, let me click it on you.
Well, I'll back it up then. I'll back it up. Back that thing up. Pause. Let's see. Is that the one? Yeah. Here we go. And see if that's there we go. So this is a little app called Mosho, and I was able to take some certain images, and now I gotta do some narration for this. But I kind of like the way it pulled apart the panels, and then I chopped down some of the panels just to get some of the scenes I wanted.
That's cool.
But yeah, I definitely like the way because it reminded me of the way things dissolved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a little idea for a story for it. Little 30-second plug.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing another commercial spot, sort of like more like a movie spot where it's like, you know, from the creator of, because I that's something I didn't do in my other one is like I didn't tout me. I was just touting the book, right?
Right.
And so I could be like, you know, from, you know, the guy who brought you Injustice and Game of Thrones, kind of that way.
Yeah,
Totally.
the Injustice in the Game of Thrones links. I mean, there should be money in the bank, right? Because these are premier titles. These are not small things, right? George Martin personally trusts you,
Yeah.
you know, to do the depictions for that. And Injustice, by any measure, was a huge success. I mean, this was a huge title for DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this should be money in the bank.
Yeah. But like I you know, you probably heard it on my other stream. I was mentioning that it's just getting them here, getting those fans here. Not everybody's on YouTube, but you know, there's hundreds of thousands of my fans who've, you know, and I don't say that like, you know, like, oh, I have hundreds of thousands of fans. There's hundreds of thousands of people who liked my work enough to keep buying the Injustice books, or at least keep watching the videos on like Comics Island, Comicstorian, Comics this, Comics that. All these different sites on YouTube have had hundreds of thousands and literally even millions of views of my work on YouTube. And if there's some way I can access those people and let them know that, you know, hey, I'm over here. Then, you know, even if I got 1% of them to buy my book, man, I'd be in La La Land.
Yeah, it's strange days when Mike Miller is now the only the 25th most popular Mike Miller channel on the internet.
It's sad because it's true.
So yeah, while I was at work today, I ran out and did you see the new cover that got made for Iron Saints today by that Kelsey Shannon guy?
Yeah, that looks great. That looks fantastic.
So I took that cover, I did like 19 seconds of narration on it, right? It looks like it has now had 1,500 views.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he put it on his?
I think Diversity in Comics retweeted it.
You know what he should have done? Put it on his freaking Indiegogo as the video.
but it was just such a nice cover. Well, I don't say all that much in the video. It's just a couple
Gotta
of
be better
lines.
than what Zach did. Heavens to Murgatroyd. I couldn't even sit through it. I turned it off. I was like, dude, you're trying to sell a book. Oh boy.
But Twitter shows you that you can look at the statistics of a tweet, right?
People want to see what I'm working on. So, page 22.
Oh wow, is it page 22?
Page 22. I'm cooking with gas. Yeah, I finished page 21 on the live stream today.
Nice.
Where exactly is La La Land, Mike? Oh, come on. It was the first thing that came to mind.
It's right around the corner from Shangri-La, yeah?
Yeah, I think we're La La Land.
Yeah, somewhere in the vicinity of Fraggle Rock. Were you a Fraggle Rock fan, Mike?
I was not a Fraggle Rock fan, actually. Were you?
No, not particularly. What about Dark Crystal?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was glorious. I mean, I'm not saying I never watched Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wasn't a fan. It's like, you know, the Snorks. Remember the Snorks?
I do not remember the Snorks.
The Snorks were the Smurfs were so popular that they wanted to come up with something like the Smurfs because, you know, that's what they do. So they came up with the Snorks. Little underwater dude, and they had a little snorkel thing on the top of their head.
Oh yeah, I think I kind of remember them.
Yeah. So it was one of those also ran things. That's what Fraggle Rock was to me. It was the also ran Muppet Show. You know.
The also ran Muppet. That makes sense. All these derivatives.
Nothing else on. Which, you know, back in our day, oftentimes there was nothing else on.
Yeah. I think the TV that we had a 2-story house, and upstairs we didn't have cable. I think with the antenna I jury rigged, I could pull in about 7 over-the-air channels. And
that made out of a coat hanger and some tinfoil.
Yeah. And get some wire and trying to come up with
us old fogies know the struggles.
The struggle.
Struggle was real.
Well, I remember when you still hooked up the Atari to the TV with the little silver box
and the screwdriver.
Yeah.
Little pork things. Yeah, you know what? I had a senior moment at church this weekend because we were talking about Shazam. Me and this kid that's part of my high school. He's an adult leader at the high school group.
Okay.
And it's him and actually 2 other of the leaders, and we're talking about Shazam, Captain Marvel, and I go, Shazam, and
nothing, really.
Blank stares. I'm like,
it's Gomer Pyle, USMC.
I'm like, you people have no idea what I'm. No idea.
I almost thought about photoshopping that picture of Richard's head onto a picture of Gomer Pyle with Sergeant Carter kind of chewing him out. But I figured only people from our generation would get that joke. So I was like, is it worth the effort?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah. It was a bad idea.
It indeed was a bad idea.
Well, so what I was going to tell you, you can from Twitter, you can see the engagement on a post, right? And so from that stupid little video that I made for Diversity in Comics this morning, I really like that cover by Kelsey Shannon. I like that dude. He's a cool cat.
Yeah.
But it looks like 40 people clicked through to the Iron Sights Indiegogo from a 20-second video. Yeah.
Nice.
So I guess if you got a nice sexy image or a nice sexy cool image in a short little video, yeah.
I'm not gonna have one of those.
Well, I guess because we don't. Well, there's probably a couple of scenes where the girl, a couple of panels where we might see that one particular girl again. Yeah, looking nice.
Oh no, definitely. She's gonna be you know, an important part of the story. Spoiler.
But she looks nice more so than looking like a sex bomb.
Yeah. She's my Jennifer Connelly in The Rocketeer. You know. I mean, she was Jennifer Connelly in The Rocketeer, but she wasn't dressed like a, you know, like anything I wouldn't want my wife wearing.
Looks like Gary stopped by the chat.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mr. Shipman. Hope you're having a good evening.
Here too. He's already taken his melatonin.
Okay.
And he's gonna go to sleep with his vacuum cleaner.
Cuddle up to some household appliances and call it a night.
Nasser, I was telling Edwin that you really loosened up after he and Cecil left. He actually told that story again, and actually got some legitimate laughs out of it.
Oh, did it? Nice.
Nice. I said it's Nasser 2.0.
I like Nasser. I really like this story too, and I hope that didn't get obscured tonight. And so, if you've already backed Lone Star twice, and you got $8 left, because I think that's all it takes. I think for $8 you can buy into Stardust. Go take a look at Stardust. Just make sure you back Lone Star twice first, though.
How many people are watching? 60 viewers. Hello, Lone Star Squadron. Call your call sign out. I actually met Jim Neighbors, said Chester Busby. That's nice. He must have been a sweet man.
Well, he retired to Hawaii. He passed away here just recently.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, we got a number 32. 17. Oh, yeah, Nick.
17.
Nick's got like 12 numbers. He's bought so much stuff. 466, 342, 192, 22. Nice.
668. All right. That's what we're talking about.
The squadron abides.
The squadron abides.
So, any clue what's going on down Alabama way?
Alabama, what's happening?
Oh no, Arkansas. Arkansas.
Oh, I don't know. They keep going down there to have meetings. I don't know. Maybe they are signing some kind of deal with the devil. as much as we can tell, I mean, that's kind of a reasonable location for the devil's residence on Earth, Little Rock. So
done a lot of good work there. And he's got that theme song by Marilyn Monroe.
Let's see. Llama Gigante suggests that they are in Little Rock building trebuchets, maybe setting up a trebuchet factory.
Oh, really?
That sounds like a realistic theory. I could run with that one.
Wait a second. Oh, no, where'd I put it? Oh, darn it. I missed my chance.
What was your chance?
Hold on. I have to look it up again.
Nasser was saying he's got a good price on printing, but I don't know what style he's printing on. Have you figured out your printing? Well, you said you're close. You were going to send it. You were going to send it to have Kim Il Jong print it in North Korea, but you won't get it back quick enough.
That's right. That's right. Hold on a second. I'm trying to remember.
Sierra Whiskey 186 asked, did you guys touch on asking George Martin's camp to rep your endeavor? I'm at work and had to look at a missile. You know,
No.
at that level, do people do that stuff, Mike? I'm not certain. I know kind of at the pros and Joes level, at the pros and pundits level, you know, we all try and help each other out. But at Martin's level, do they?
Okay, wait. Say trebuchet again.
Trebuchet. Did I just hear a trebuchet fire off? I was looking.
I meant to have that set up for the first time we said it tonight.
Do you have a human trebuchet back there? I just clicked back over onto the to the Hangouts.
No. Well,
how's it going, little Miller? You're looking hungry.
On to the trebuchet, Miller.
Nice.
All right, so that will be at my disposal whenever we need it.
So, has the
printing? I haven't decided yet. I've gotten a quote. Yeah, I don't think I can do the. I'm pretty sure I won't have the time to do the Korean one, so I'm gonna try to go domestic. It's gonna cost a little more. I don't know if the quality is gonna be quite as good, but I don't want to miss September, so I'll try to get some good samples in before I make a final decision. I want to do the best I can for the fans, the best quality, but I need to make the September.
So. Give me 2 seconds. I've got to stir the sausage that's on the stove.
Oh.
I just want to make brown. Oh, the wife's taking care of it. That is not a euphemism.
All right.
It is actual sausage. I've got a dish I make about twice a week. It's brown sausage, and then I take and I braise little cherry tomatoes, cook them down real small, and concentrate everything, and then spinach goes on top of that. Yeah, start out with these big old. Yeah, I love it though.
I refer to that as the devil's fruit.
Vegetables in general, or spinach?
Oh, I love spinach. Tomatoes. That Satan invented those.
Oh, you're not a fan of the tomato?
That's why they have to be cooked thoroughly before they taste good.
Oh yeah. I like to cook them down till you cook all the juice out of them.
Yeah.
Just to concentrate them. Check this out, man. My wife got this from Costco today.
Yeah, we have that too.
Okay. And then so I was looking in here.
They mail it out to all card carrying members.
Looking in here.
That's the crazy.
I don't know if you can see any of this. Yeah. And so they're talking about Marvel. And so here's all, what is this? Feige? Feige. That's an unfortunate name. Feige. And he says, I fell in love with the notion of movies being a thing that can help us escape and also teach us lessons and make us better people. So I guess when the crew is Deadpool considered MCU, or does that fall into some weird little
Fox?
That's Fox. Okay. Yeah. Does defending pedo joke makers, does that make us better people? What lessons does that teach us?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's all just kind of nonsense, isn't it? A bunch of lip service for the rubes, and give us some more millions and billions, yeah?
Yeah. Nighthawk says Deadpool is owned by Disney and Marvel. Well, Deadpool the character is, but Deadpool the movie rights are owned, I believe, by 20th Century Fox. Someone can check on that if you want to. But
isn't that all coming together now, though?
Yeah. And I hope they reboot the X-Men and use that as their next big push. Business wise, I think that'd be a good move.
So who would they get to play? Who would they get to play Wolverine now? Because
I asked that, and I don't really have an answer. I think it would have to be somebody new that nobody freaking knew who Hugh Jackman was before he became Wolverine.
right.
And oh my gosh, that Venom thing kind of spoiled me on Tom Hardy. I don't think I want him doing it.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy because I love Tom Hardy and everything he's done, and he looks so friggin' dumb in that Venom trailer. I swear, I'm gonna get JJ on tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
I think tomorrow, and we're gonna do some movie trailer reviews, and I definitely want to start with that because it looks so bad.
Well, he looks, as that reporter, I don't know what he's trying to convey.
That he's autistic?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little in.
Tell me about the rabbits, George. A little bit of that?
Yeah. God bless your son, but I mean he does read on that trailer. He reads a little special needs.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
That's what someone JoJo can look up to. I want to be a sociopath too when I grow up.
Well, it's good to have goals, I guess.
Yeah. Well, one of my characters is autistic. Turtle.
Turtle?
I don't know if you saw the Rabbit and Turtle.
I haven't seen the Rabbit and Turtle, but I will take a look after this.
Yeah, so Rabbit and Turtle, they were raised in an orphanage together, and Turtle's like powers. I mean, he's this hulking dude. He's like 7 feet tall, 400 pounds of muscle, and Rabbit is like this little squirrely, like Iggy Pop sort of a, and Rabbit is like all about, they're like basically small time crooks, right?
Okay.
But they're powered, and so they get used as hired guns by the mob or whatever. And but so Turtle is autistic, and the only person he identifies with is Rabbit, and so he does whatever Rabbit tells him to do. And so, like, if Rabbit tells him to kill somebody, because my friend has an autistic child, and he was explaining to me that in his spectrum, however you say it, of autism,
right,
he doesn't view people as subjects. He views them as objects.
Okay.
So like, there's not necessarily that kind of ability to relate and I don't know, humanize humans.
Right.
So it's like, hey, kill that guy is like, hey, go crush that beer can, right?
Right.
So Rabbit takes advantage of that, and they get paid a lot because this guy, his power, besides being huge and strong, his skin is like oobleck. So it's like the harder you hit it, the harder it gets.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's like you could stab him real slow with a knife, but it's like if you went to stick him with a knife, it would just like kind of stick in there real quick, and then he could react to it or whatever. But yeah, if you like try to shoot him or something, it just go bang.
It reminds me of a story from Bosnia. And so when I'm in Bosnia, when we're not doing patrols, Elton, and we were stationed in this little town up near the Croatian border called Brčko. Right across, so we're in Bosnia, but we're right across the river from Croatia. And when we're not on patrols, you have to take rotations, being the base guard, your little base, so your element would take a turn, manning the gates and doing the roving patrols just in case. At that point it had kind of smoothed out. There was a little bit of action here and there, but we still guarded the base, yeah. And so we're sitting in the little guardhouse right by the main gate. And after like 8 o'clock, nobody comes in and out anyway. So you're just standing out there just staring out into blackness, yeah. And somebody had already taken a labeler, a little label maker,
Yeah.
and labeled every single thing in the guard shack, like door, wall, ceiling, label maker. They even made a label that said label maker. They had even labeled the cat. And so we have to wear, we didn't at the time, we didn't have the modern body armor yet. We had flak vest, which kind of sucked to wear because, you don't really have a good way to wash them. So they get kind of stinky after a while and they're heavy, they're irritating. But I had a Leatherman, and I had the medic up in the guardhouse with me because he wasn't that retarded and he could carry a conversation. And if you're stuck, somewhere for 8 hours with nothing to do but check in on the radio once an hour, it gets pretty boring pretty fast. So I would keep him up there with me. And so I had my Leatherman. We're both wearing our flak vest, and we're talking about the flak vest. And I was like, "Hey, Doc," you can call medic Doc. I was like, "Hey, Doc, let me stab you. We got our flak vest on. Let me stab you." He's like, "Yeah, that's cool. You could stab me." And so I pulled the blade out of the Leatherman, and it's kind of a real thin, and mine was pretty sharp. I kept it sharp, and I came in for like a clavicle hit, and I'm glad I did. Because normally if you stab somebody right here, right up near the clavicle, you can kill them pretty fast. I mean, it's a good shot, right? Because you can get some good penetration. You can cut a nice vein. You can take a man out that way pretty fast, and there's no bone, right? So you'll either get throat or you'll get meat, but you won't get bone. So you can kill a man pretty easy that way. And so I came down with it. And thankfully, the flak vest is kind of nice and thick there and has a collar, because I hit him with it and it punched right through that thing. Apparently, the way the flak vest works is it has to have like a twist in action, right? Like a bullet has some spin to it, a piece of shrapnel has some, and the fibers twist up. Because I came straight in with a nice thin piece of metal just coming straight in, it just punched right through it. And we were like, oh. Yeah. So that was how I almost stabbed my medic to death, but we got lucky.
You know what you do with those flak vests?
What do you do with those? You load them up in the trebuchet.
Yeah, I have a funny story, sort of like that. When I was young, I was the kind of guy who didn't really think things through a lot. So I was like playing around with an X-Acto knife, and I pretended like I was going to cut my friend in the arm, right?
Right.
And he goes, "Go ahead, do it." So I did.
Oh no! Oh no!
Like, what are you doing? You told me
to.
Oh no!
Blood all over the place, I bet.
Huh?
Blood all.
It didn't slice too far in, so it was just enough to freak him out.
So how did y'all explain that to the parents?
Oh, we were teenagers. We didn't tell our parents about stuff like that.
Hey, I think you've got a new backer. I'm looking here and it says Llama Gigante.
Hey.
I just backed your book, you long-haired hippie. Number 695.
Thanks, brother. Very much appreciated. Let's hear it for the llamas.
Welcome to the Lone Star Squadron. We appreciate it.
So have you heard of colloidal silica armor?
I thought I heard colloidal silver and then it went somewhere else.
Colloidal silica.
Colloidal silica armor.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's basically a microscopic oobleck. So colloidal, is
a suspension like Jello, kind of.
Well, it's molecular. It's So the silica is the size of molecules, right? So you take this silica and you put it in like it's I forget what the base is, some sort of like a resin or a polyurethane. I think it's polyurethane, and you dip material into it, right? Or you paint it on material or whatever you want to do, and you can't shoot it or stab through it. I mean, you can't shoot through it or stab through it.
Huh.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw this stuff on YouTube 20 years ago, and I'm like, shouldn't all of our troops be wearing this stuff like all the time?
I'll have to look that up. And you really can't shoot through it?
You can't shoot through it. I mean, I suppose if you've got, you know, a big enough caliber and the material's thin enough, but
Right.
they use like silk, and they were shooting like pellets, and it was just like it hits the silk and then it just drops.
Wow.
I don't know if they were using 22s or just pellets or whatever, but then they had another guy who they had it strapped on, and he was trying to stab through it with a ice pick, and it was stopping a freaking ice pick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know, you throw that, you dip all your clothes in that, and then you throw some plates underneath there to absorb shock. That would be very lightweight, very effective bulletproofing of all of our guys. And it's freaking colloidal silica. It's not expensive. So I don't understand why something like that isn't standard for all of our military all the time.
There's got to be some gotcha for them not to use it. Because, you know, yeah. I'll have to look at that and try and figure out why. Because that doesn't make a lot of sense not to use something like that.
I agree. But yeah, I saw it like 20 years ago, and it's like, it was. I thought it was new then, so I just kind of assumed at some point, you know, this would be standard issue. But 20 years later, nothing.
Yeah, Sierra Whiskey 186 is asking, will it run? Will it drip like yogurt? Yeah, I'm just curious if there's got to be some drawback to it.
Well, if you put it in like a polyurethane, the polyurethane stabilizes.
Yeah. Well, Beer and Pretzel says it doesn't absorb the shock. Yeah, you still need some kind of trauma plate to distribute force. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But, you know, it's probably what John Wick wears on his bulletproof three-piece suit. Chester Busby, Lone Star Squadron, ho!
Nice. Lone Star Squadron, ho!
This is the Aloha hour.
Oh, yeah, let's dial it down. Lone Star Squadron.
Someone asked if it will protect you from...
Trebuchet. There is no defense against Trebuchet. So I gotta ask. You know, usually tell you, hey, I don't want you to talk out of school, and you don't have to name names. But now that Lone Star is kind of like a confirmed success, right? Have you had anybody calling around? Anybody, you know, anybody from the hood back on the block, calling and saying, "Hey, Miller, tell me about this Indiegogo stuff, or how are you doing here now?"
Well, yeah, but I mean, people already know. I mean, people that it's a lot of guys that have been paying attention to the whole scene, not like. I mean, I told one of my old editors today, and he was stoked. I'm trying to get the rights to tell the Injustice 2 story.
Okay.
Yeah, because man, that'd be fantastic. I have a great possible outlet for that could change everything. If I could get the rights to tell that story. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Not exactly. No.
Okay,
I'm going to nod my head and pretend I do.
Okay, I was hired by Warner Brothers Games, NetherRealms, to write a story pitch for Injustice 2. And
Okay.
I did, and they loved it. But then it just sort of disappeared into the nether realms. And, you know, I really want to be, it's a really great story. I have the whole treatment. I even did some character designs, although the character designs weren't, you know what, I can show the character designs because they weren't solicited and they weren't paid for. So I was told today that if it wasn't solicited and it wasn't paid for, then I could show it. But yeah, the actual movie story treatment was actually paid for. So I have to abide the NDA until such time as they tell me that I can go ahead and use it. But kind of getting the runaround, not the runaround, but like Warner Brothers legal today was like, well, you have to get Warner Brothers games to say it's okay. And I'm like, man, those are the guys who don't freaking email me back.
Well, yeah, and to be honest, nobody unless somebody is friendly to you over there, nobody's going to particularly go out of their way because it doesn't make any money. It's all cost, and there's probably really no upside for them. So you gotta convince somebody over there there's an upside for somebody out there of your caliber talking about Injustice.
Yeah. Well.
All right. So, in your humble opinion, how was your pitch versus what they wound up going with?
Mine's better.
Nice.
Yeah, they were having a hard time coming up with a story, which is why they quiet. Okay. They were having a hard time coming up with a pitch, and yeah, I'll tell you this story. Not everybody's heard it yet.
Okay.
So I was working on Injustice, so every time I went to a convention in Chicago, somebody from NetherRealms would come to me and say, oh, you know, hey, I work on Injustice, the game, and I do, you know, whatever, character designs, backgrounds, whatever, all these different things. And every time one of them would come up to me, I would tell them, I have a great idea for Injustice 2. And they hadn't started it yet, so I knew they weren't, you know, they weren't in pre-production or anything. So I told them this pitch, and I can tell you the pitch because I was pitching it before they paid me.
Got it.
I said, okay, it's 15 years after the events of Injustice.
Okay.
Bruce Wayne is president. Martha Kent has just died. And after 15 years of rehabilitation, he thought it was time that Clark Kent got out and managed to, you know, I mean, just for this going to his mother's funeral thing.
Right.
So there you have Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne standing by the grave of Lois Lane and Martha Kent and Jonathan Kent, I think, at that time. And, you know, they're talking about what has happened. They're talking about, you know, the future. And then they start talking about, you know, what happened to Lois. And Clark says, Lois isn't here. And Bruce Wayne says, yes, she's, you know, she's in a better place. And Clark turns to him and says, Lois isn't here. And he uses his heat vision to blow open the grave, and he opens the casket, and it's empty. Slam cut. Ra's al Ghul's castle. A 20-year-old boy has been, because remember, it's 15 years, so it's 5 years of Injustice, and then, so a 20-year-old boy is practicing martial arts with Red Hood. And Ra's al Ghul is teaching them, and Lois Lane steps out from around the corner, and it's like, it's time to meet your father.
Oh.
And I pitched this to every single guy that worked at NetherRealm who ever came by my booth, and eventually I got to one of the writers, right? And I pitched this story to the writer, and the writer's like, Yeah, we don't accept unsolicited pitches. But then, like the following week, Adam Urbano, who's like second in command at NetherRealms, calls me and says, "I loved your pitch. I want you to write a full movie pitch treatment for Injustice 2." And so basically, the writer didn't tell him anything, but like one of the character animators or something like that told him my pitch. And he told me that like the writers are having like a hard time coming up with some angle on it, and he just loved the son of Kal-El angle. And but they can't do it now. And I wrote this whole thing. It's like, you know, several pages long. It's written in movie treatment format. It's a great story. It goes all over the place. And they can't use it because of the timeline they created with the new one. So if they can't use it and they don't let me share it, then it's literally just going to die in my computer and never be seen by anybody. And it would be sad for me.
Hard to repurpose that.
Yeah, it really can't be repurposed because of, I mean, unless they're going to do like an Elseworlds story, because Injustice is already an Elseworlds. So unless they're doing an Elseworlds of an Elseworlds, they can't do anything with it for the game because the game has already gone in such a completely different direction. It's impossible. So. Scotty Richard Studio, could you do an Injustice style story with the old public domain heroes? There's been a couple companies that have been using all the old public domain heroes already. So
what's considered public domain at this point?
Oh, like the original Daredevil, Black Terror. Captain Marvel is actually public domain. Did you know that?
You mean Shazam is
the character's not public domain, but all of the old Captain Marvel comics are public domain.
Oh, interesting.
Like the ones with Steamboat and all the little racist Japanese characters and all that. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, stuff like that is interesting, but man, you've already got more ideas than you can execute over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Unless you get enough funding where you can pull somebody in and you do one of the titles and then you manage somebody else doing another one of the titles.
Yeah, that's the plan. And then somebody else doing another one of the titles, and so on and so on. I want to have, I have a 10, 20 year goal in mind. So, one step at a time.
You guys ever think about getting out of California so you can actually keep some of this money you're going to make, or are you just willing to give it all to Jerry Brown?
Well, Jerry Brown's leaving in October, so we'll have Gavin Newsom.
Hey, what did they used to call you? Gavin, was it Any Twosome? Was that his nickname?
Some Newsom.
Is that what Dr. Savage used to call him?
Yeah. You listen to Savage?
Not for years, but that guy is so boy, he is savage. Savage is.
Yeah, I listened to him. I probably stopped. I'm not going to say I stopped completely. I just haven't listened to him in quite a while. But I listened to him for like 20 something years. I actually listened to him back when I lived in San Jose. 20 years ago. I was living in San Jose with my dad. In between when we lived in Texas and moved back to San Diego, we were in San Jose for a bit. And yeah, he wasn't even like national at that point. He was just Bay Area.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But he was an interesting dude because let's see, I think he had his PhD in botany, and then he did some of his research in some of the Pacific Islands over here.
Yeah.
And over the course of his life, I want to say he's published maybe about 30 books, and some of those are actually, not just political books, but
Yeah. Healing children naturally and stuff like that.
yeah. I want to say his son is the owner and the inventor of, it's either Monster or Rockstar. I can't remember which one.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
And I think it's the one that has the Hebrew characters on it, so it might be Monster.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the one they keep trying to say is a 666.
Yeah. Oh, conspiracy theories are great.
Yeah.
And they're entertaining in moderation, and there have absolutely been conspiracies. Like I forget, what was it, Operation Northwoods, the one where a couple of the U.S. generals conspired to create something that looked like an act of Cuban terrorists as a pretext for us to invade Cuba.
Yeah, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, and you can look that one up on Wikipedia, and I think JFK wound up firing the general. But yeah, that absolutely happened. You had a couple of generals who were actually talking about killing American civilians as a pretext for us to invade Cuba. So I mean, there are absolutely conspiracies, and
Yeah.
they happen, but not to the extent I think that
You know
Alex.
what conspiracy is, right?
Well, it's just a couple of people coming together and planning to commit some particular act.
No, it's just a plan. I mean, to say there's no conspiracy, it's
Yeah.
people plan stuff every single day. It's they plan it and then they keep it secret, and that's a conspiracy.
Let's see. Is Gary leaving this evening? Sounds like he's signing out. Gary, have a good evening. Aloha, Gary. Yeah. So yeah, some of the stuff. When I say conspiracy, I mean like in the Alex Jones kind of 4chan kind of sense.
Black helicopter sense,
Yeah.
Although I believe the black helicopter story from Ross Perot.
What was that? I don't remember which one he told. Ross Perot was an interesting dude, though. I don't know if you remember, some of his employees got taken hostage in Iran, and he put together a team of mercenaries, and he went and got them out.
That is correct. It's part of the reason I voted for him twice.
Yeah. Ross Perot was a right interesting dude. Yeah,
I finally got my crazy billionaire. Woo! Took 30 years, but I got him. Yeah, but he would have won. He was ahead by like 34%, something like that, in a 3-way race. And then he quit. And he said he quit because there were these guys showed up, I think at his daughter's house in a black helicopter and threatened her.
Oh.
And it's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, black helicopter. It's like, dude. And then he quit, and then he like manned up and got back in the race. But after he got back in, he had lost so much ground.
Yeah,
people tried to say he was crazy about the black helicopter thing, but it's like, I believe it. To this day, I believe that. Because he was going up against the Clintons.
Yeah, I don't see a point of it doesn't serve him, because just saying that almost makes you look crazy. You know what I mean? To the average person. Yeah. So
people were trying to say, oh, he was just being a spoiler for Bill Clinton, but it's like, dude, he was like
I don't think so. Perot was a man of character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe that at all.
All this? You guys in the chat, are my kids being too annoying, or are they?
It's just part of the ambience. Did hear some glugs though. Looks like one of the Miller children is getting his glug on.
Yeah. Does Hapajap have a favorite conspiracy? That's a good question. Favorite conspiracy? That we faked the moon landing. Did you ever see the BBC documentary A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon?
No.
I mean, it's the funny thing about it isn't how good the documentary is. It's that it was by the BBC, right? Not by Alex Jones or by,
Yeah.
someone trying to stop. Holy cow. Can't hear myself think. But yeah, and they do a really good job of just tearing apart the first moon landing. I don't know about any subsequent moon landings, but they tear that thing apart to the point where you're at the end of this movie going, I don't think we went to the moon. You should check it out. And it's funny because I was talking to my friend Bruce, who used to work at NASA, and I was telling him about this thing, and he's like, well, there's trajectories and there's blah blah, and there's all these people working on it. I'm like, yeah, but are they all compartmentalized? Right? Do only people know what their specific task is? Right? And that is the case. They compartmentalize everybody at NASA. So nobody knows the whole picture except for, the hoopity doops at the top. And if they're the ones conspiring, then they can get away with hundreds of people thinking that they're seeing something happen that isn't happening. So that's my favorite conspiracy because it's the BBC convinced me.
And they're going to take the moon landing away from us. Okay, so you have some parenting advice from Ro Kabir Kumar.
Beat your children like we beat NASA. I'm not even that cruel.
Ro likes to say that that he is the Old Testament and I am the New Testament.
So what do you do with the what's his name? Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith. Oh, I've had some friends. I've had some friends.
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I've had some friends and soldiers who were Mormons, and many of them seem to be very, very enthusiastic people about their faith, and that is always like a whole obstacle, when trying to share your faith. People can really get tripped up with stuff in trying to witness to somebody. Yeah, you can almost create these stumbling blocks for yourself and for them when you try to witness to them. My take is the Bible as written and as adopted is the complete and the final word of God presented to man until some of the particular prophets or until Christ returns. We have what we have. Prophecy and so forth is complete for the moment.
Yeah. Jesus said the law and the prophets. Give me the bottle. You're done. Oh boy. The law and the prophets were until John the Baptist.
Yeah.
Definite article until,
Yeah. And the law was a schoolmaster that pointed us to Christ, right?
Right.
And if you look in the Old Testament, I mean, there was probably somewhere between 130 or 160 pointers to Christ. I mean, you can look at stuff at
Oh, that is more than that.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a book this thick called all the messianic prophecies in the Old Testament.
Yeah, yeah. But as far as witnessing to someone in a faith that is added on these traditions of men and these other interpretations, I would just straight share the Bible with them. And a lot of these people have a beautiful faith. It's just they've incorporated these things that are extra biblical.
Yeah, but I mean that's their faith, and they. I know it's not the case with Jehovah's Witnesses, because Jehovah's Witnesses, you can at least come to them from the perspective that we both agree that the Bible is absolute and end all be all Scripture, Word of God, right?
Yeah.
So they may deviate, but you still have that same objective source. I'll get into arguments or debates with Mormons, and what it ends up breaking down to is they say you can't trust the Bible, right? Because the Book of Mormon is the perfect book, but the Bible was whatever, mistranslated or corrupted or whatever they have to say in order to not have that be their objective source of truth. So you can't come to them and say, look, in Revelation, you're talking to the Alpha and the Omega, which is none other than God. And who is that you're talking to? None other than Jesus Christ. So you can't give them, I and the Father are one, and because they'll add things like in spirit or in purpose. It's like you're adding words to the Bible to make it fit your beliefs are. But
I believe the wording was not one jot or tittle.
Yes, not one jot or tittle shall pass from the law until all these things are fulfilled.
Yeah. And I know some people say that fulfillment occurred on the cross at Calvary and then through the resurrection, because there's two parts of that: the sacrifice and the resurrection. You have to put these parts together to get because the sacrifice, the death for us, that covered our sins, but rather than just stopping at covering our sins, the resurrection points us towards a new promise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you on? You're a non-denominational church, yeah?
I'm not a team joiner.
Well, I go to sort of essentially like an independent Baptist church, and it's kind of funny because some of our elders and some of our pastors don't consider us even necessarily Protestants. They believe that we are the natural extension of the small, New Testament churches that were started, with the name churches like in the Bible, and it carries forward from there. Mm. Yeah, and so that there was really nothing to protest against because the pattern was already established. And Paul wrote a lot of his epistles. Paul didn't write his epistles to people; he wrote them to churches. People in the churches, but to specific churches, because he gave
John writing epistles to people.
Yeah. And so a lot of these patterns were established. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It's it's kind of like saying, look, I'm a traditional liberal, right?
Yeah. Classical liberal.
I'm a classical traditional liberal by the definition of the word and the meaning of the word liberal. I'm a liberal. Well, it's the same thing. It's like, people change perceptions and whatnot, but it's the same thing. A Christian is a Christian is a Christian. It doesn't matter if you're denomination or if you're non-denominational, or it doesn't even matter if you're in I don't want to say a cult.
Well, the word cult doesn't necessarily have a negative meaning.
No. Yeah, I made that point before. It's the negative connotation of the word cult comes from like David Koresh and Charles Manson and stuff, which don't even apply, right? It's like a false application of the word. It's the changing of language. But, you know, the Kingdom of the Cults is just the... Have you read that book, Hank Hanegraaff, Kingdom of the Cults? No. It goes through all the different... For people who don't know, a cult is basically just a religion that is derivative of Christianity, but has rules that fall outside of Orthodox Christian doctrine. So, I mean, it's as simple as that. And there are people, I believe firmly, who are, you know, saved Christians inside cults. But that does not mean that the orthodoxy should be dismissed. I mean, for me, I told this story, I don't know when, recently, about how I was confronted by Mormons, and I was a young Christian.
What, like physically? Did they offer to rake your yard or something, or forcibly make you sit down while they did some chores for you or something?
No, but they came in. You know, I invited them in. We talked for a while, and they had such very good arguments. And I was a young Christian, and so I prayed just, you know, to the one true God. And I said, you know, all I want is to follow you rightly. I don't care what religion or denomination or dogma or whatever it is. I just want to know that what I am doing aligns with what you, and what I'm believing aligns with what you properly want me to believe. And I had like a 7-8 hour drive home from San Jose that day. And, you know, this was back in the 90s. So I was driving through LA, Bakersfield, blah, 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 all these different cities with all these different radio stations. And I kept putting it on a Christian radio station. And what do you think the topic was the entire way on every radio station going from San Jose to San Diego? It was about the falsehoods in the Mormon doctrine.
Oh, no.
I mean, you couldn't have aligned it. You couldn't have, you know, that was... So by the time I got home, I was like, okay, pretty sure God was telling me something.
Well, here's my take. You know, every version and denomination assumes that they have the best distillation and the closest version of what God has asked them to do. But then upon closer scrutiny, in every single version, you will find the addition of the traditions of man. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
You'll find that we will do exactly the things that Christ told us not to do. Yeah. And when Christ was asked, you know, what do you need to do? Right? When Christ was asked, what do you need to do? He said, well, you got to love God with all your heart and love your neighbor like yourself. And upon these, all of the laws of the prophets hang. Right? And those are pretty short sentences, but man, the devil's in the details, I suppose.
Yep.
But now Christ was pretty straightforward. He said, if you don't have me, you don't have a father.
Yeah.
But he also climbed up on that cross for us while we were still yet enemies. So there's hope for everyone, right? All who wander are not lost. And people may have a better or a poorer understanding of what Christ and God expects for them and requires for them. And the hope is that people would always come closer to that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And sorry, didn't mean to turn the sorry but not sorry. Anytime me and Mike talk, there's the danger that you're going to get some Jesus. It can happen.
That's just it. Stop. Okay. All denominations either add to or take away from the Word of God. Yeah, that's why I'm non-denominational.
I do, but it is good. It is good. Whatever tradition you belong to, no man is an island. Yeah, and so whatever tradition you belong to, you should have some brethren, from your particular tradition, who can kind of help support you and sustain you, because sometimes everybody winds up in the deep water. Yeah, and
But you know what? Be a Berean. Be a Berean. No matter what denomination, no matter what religion you're in, if it's Bible based, be a Berean. If your church teaches you something, you go to the Bible and you search to see whether or not it is so.
Yeah.
That was the highest praise given to a church, because that's what they did when they were taught these new doctrines about Christianity. They took them, they listened to them, and then they went and they searched through the scriptures to see if what they were being taught was what God preached in His Word. So yeah, please,
always try the Spirit. Right? Yeah.
He won't lie. Men will lie. Men lie. The Spirit will not.
Grant Hall says he got kicked out of church for believing the Bible. Well, hopefully you found a better church, brother.
What kind of church was it? If you want to call him out.
And now our worship is a little bit different than other churches. Like if you come sit down with us next time you come to Hawaii, you should actually come to church with us.
Very cool.
You will get probably in a sermon. You will get probably, what would you say, sweetie? Maybe 2 or 3 at one of our worship services. You will probably get 2, 3, maybe 4 chapters of scripture. Our worship services are very scripturally heavy.
Yeah, nice.
The main message that comes from
Yeah.
one, and then like 3 to 5 supporting passages.
Yeah, you're very scripturally heavy. You don't get a lot of ear tickling stuff.
Right, but the point is always
And I think our hymn, I think our hymnal was printed like 60 or 70 years ago. But it's fun. We've got it's a real hoppa crowd. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got Hawaiians. We got Japanese. We got Japa Hawaiians. We got Koreans. We got a lot of mixed plate. Yeah, it's a nice. Yeah, our church looks like Hawaii, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Mr. Mike, I think we're going into the Aloha an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, is there anybody we need to trebuchet?
Is there anybody? Let's check the chat real quick and make sure we haven't missed anybody.
We got 89 people watching right now. It's pretty.
Oh, do we?
Pretty happening Aloha hour tonight.
Yeah. Well, we can hang out for a little bit, but let me cruise through the chat and make sure we didn't miss anything. I'm gonna scroll back up
Love
here.
You too, man. Mike, stay on and draw. All right, this is for Mundane Matt.
Let's see. Sketch therapy. I'm not a Nicene, but I wonder if he meant that as a Nicene. I believe in the message, God is law, God judges sin, you judge theft and murder. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, man doesn't judge sin. Let's see. Grant Hall, Blacklist Universe. Same thing with Islam and the Quran. Also, Jehovah's Witnesses have their own version of the Bible that changes certain things to fit their beliefs. I think the interpretation they use is fairly close to the King James Version. I think there are a couple of verses that are changed here and there.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hall version of the Bible has edits in it that well, let's just say.
Let's see.
But that's the funny thing is they couldn't edit enough of it to edit the truth out of it.
Yeah.
my niece's boyfriend was staying with us one time, and he's a JW, and I went back and I think I showed him Isaiah 7:14, and I went back in and I was showing him the original Greek, and it just laid out exactly who the Messiah was, that the Messiah was God, right? And he's like, it just stopped him cold in his tracks, because there was like nothing he could fall back on in all of his you know, conditioning, however you want to say it, because they're conditioned to have these automatic answers for all this stuff.
Oh,
right?
got it.
Yeah, but you can't have an answer for everything. The Bible is 1,600 pages long. You know.
Yeah.
That would take an awful lot of editing to get rid of the concept that Jesus is God.
Well, the interesting thing too is the Bible is written in Koine Greek, right? In Koine Greek is a dead language, meaning it's a frozen language.
Yeah.
And
the single most thought-specific language ever derived by humankind.
Right. And there's some Greek is very precise sometimes, and there's actually, I don't want to say humor, but there's some stuff in the Bible that's interesting. Like there's this, and maybe we've talked about this before. There's an exchange between Peter and Christ, right? And if you read it in the King James, it reads a little flat, because it goes something like this. Christ says, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Of course, Lord, I love you." And then Christ goes to Peter again and says, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter answers back, "Yes, I love you. Yeah, of course I love you." And then Christ asks him a third time, and Peter answers back, "Yes, Lord, I love you." And Christ finally accepts the answer. Well, if you read it in English, you don't get it, because what Christ is actually saying in Greek is, "Peter, do you agape me? Do you have a perfect love for me as a son of God?" Right? And Peter said, "Yes, Lord, I phileo you." He's saying, "Yes, I love you like a brother." When Christ is asking him if he loves him perfectly. And then so Christ asks him again, "Peter, do you agape me?" And Peter answers back, "Yes, Lord, I phileo you." And then so the final time Christ asks him, "Peter, do you agape me?" And then finally he answers correctly and says, "Yes, Lord, I agape you." That's why Christ is satisfied. You read it in English and something gets lost, right? Because we use one word, love.
Yeah.
And so you say, "I love my wife. I love my kids. I love Lone Star. I love the Lone Star Squadron. I love Doritos. I love that whatever that Japanese concoction you were eating today. Was that jellied fish semen? What was that? I don't know what you were eating. No, he wasn't eating natto. Was it some kind of plum squeezy thing?
Konyaku.
Okay, yeah. I'm almost terrified to ask with some of the rare Japanese delicacies, because you never know how. Do you eat natto, by the way?
No way. That stuff tastes like friggin' dirty socks.
Yeah. It is weird stuff.
My mom and my brother love it, but I'm like,
yeah. But the point is, in English, we use this word love for like all kinds of things. We use it so generically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, honestly, it's a trap. Because love is so complex, and there are so many. It's complex and powerful and diverse. Love is diverse, right? I love my son. I love my wife. I don't love my son the way I love my wife.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I think that people get these powerful emotions confused. So like, say you don't have a father, and you've never understood what it means to love a father figure or love someone like a brother, right? That powerful of a love. And
what is the greatest love, Mike? What is the greatest love?
To give your life for someone else.
Yeah.
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 No, but what I'm saying is that this emotion, this powerful emotion, can easily be twisted, can easily be confused.
I'm sorry, Mike. We've got, I think Ethan is in the chat. Ethan, did you want to come in and say hello to Mike, or are you just kind of cruising?
Cruising ooh, on a Thursday, Tuesday evening.
Learning to love yourself. If you want to love yourself, you have to love God, right? Because otherwise you can have, yeah, he wants to come in. I'm going to get Ethan a connection.
Send link.
Let's
Hi,
see.
Elvis. I'm going to start calling him Elvis because EVS just looks so close to Elvis.
Let's see. Ethan, I'm going to toss this in the secret squirrel chat. In the super cuts fan club.
Moving.
You should see that here in a second.
Buzz.
And so I think you have to love God first if you want to love yourself, right? Because everything else
properly.
Yeah.
Hello, brother Ethan.
Hello, my brothers. Hello.
Welcome to the Aloha Hour.
Yeah, it's nice to be here with you Hawaiians. Nice to be with my Hawaiian friends. Is that echo bothering you? I can plug in headphones. Is that coming from me?
Oh, are you getting an echo? I'm not getting anything.
No, I'm not anymore. Okay.
I think it went away, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn Ethan up a little bit. All right. Say something, Ethan.
I was just going to say that learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all, according to Whitney Houston. But you guys are quoting the Bible.
Saint Whitney.
Yeah. How are things?
Things are chill. That's how we keep it at the Aloha Hour. We keep it chill.
I'll tell you something. If you guys only knew half of what's going on right now. If you guys only knew.
It's just us. Go ahead and tell us.
Could you share maybe a quarter of it with us?
I can't even share a piece of it. It's can't tell you. Can't tell you, but everything's coming up roses.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
You gotta sing that one from the gut. Everything's coming up roses.
Oh, that is great. Yeah, I can't. And Diversity in Comics said that I like show tunes. I don't like show tunes. I don't like them. But he said I do, and it's caused me no end of grief. It's caused me no end of grief, his false accusations of my show tune affections. Don't like it. But yeah, today was quite a day. I'm down here with the Brightwisers in Arkansas.
Nice.
Little Rock, Arkansas. I get to leave tomorrow. Just busy times, guys. Busy times. I don't have a campaign running anymore. I don't have to worry about it like Mike does.
Yeah.
And Mike's got like, what do you have? Like, how many more days do you have to go?
12 days.
12. It's more like 42 because you're going to have to relaunch it again. You know, you're going to have to extend it by a month.
I can't. I need the money right then. So I'll leave it open as a store and then decide how many I'm going to print at the end of like another 30 days. But I need that initial money or I'm literally going to lose my house.
What's that about? Really?
That's about the legend of paying the mortgage.
Well, I had a project I did for like 4 months, and the funder for it got all freaking weirded out because I was getting paid such a high page rate. And so the funder pulled out, but I'm like, well, we have to get this thing done. It's the Meg project. And I'm like, we have to get it done before the movie. And so I did it, and I still haven't got paid for it. And not getting paid means you don't pay the mortgage. And so
that's the Megalodon movie comic you're talking about.
Yeah.
You drew a lot of sharks and they didn't pay you?
That's basically what it boils down to. I still trust I will get paid, but it put me way behind. So
Yeah, you guys can't. People in the chat have to understand. I mean, you can't ask somebody to draw 4 issues worth of a comic book, not pay them for it. Sorry, not pay them for it, and then expect everything to be okay. I mean, that's life ruining.
yeah.
Well, that's asking somebody to work for essentially a third of a year.
For nothing.
What did they think they were? The government?
Yeah, right. It's true.
Yeah.
That is lunacy.
So yeah. So this thing needs to end in 12 days, and then everything will be copacetic. But I will definitely keep the store open for another month so that I can, before I have to actually go to print, I'll tally all that up.
But by the end of the campaign, you should be almost done with the inked pages, right?
I'm on page 22 now. No, because it's 12 days. Oh, you mean by the end of... I'd definitely be done by the end of another 30 days. Yeah, for sure.
Another 30 days. Yeah.
Get it done, put it out there.
How are you doing, Ethan? How many more pages do you have left to draw in ink?
Like 1,100. I mean, you know, a lot. I've had, you know, it's been the campaign. Okay, here's the thing. I've just been spending time with my family. Yeah. I've been working on my YouTube. Since I left DC Comics, I draw a little bit at a time. I'm kind of like spaced out with the pages. I'm you know, working on the storytelling. Everything's laid out, and I'm just kind of I've just been taking it easy. And I know now, like the moment I get home, I've got to like put pedal to the metal and really start putting out pages, because I want to get this thing all wrapped up by September 15th and off to the press. I want to have these books in my hands October 31st and get them all shipped out, you know, in the month of November. That's going to be weird because everybody's going to get their books all staggered. You know, it's like, you know, somebody's going to get their book on November 6th and somebody else isn't going to get their book until December 6th.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. There's a flaw to our plan here that I'd really like to, think about and see if there's any way that we can fix it for the second time around. But yeah.
How does it feel? Because you're drawing Cyberfrog, right?
Yeah.
How does it, I mean, the difference of like, oh, I'm drawing Green Lantern and like, I'm drawing mine, right?
Day. I have such affection. I have such love for this character. Right. And, you know, the fact that I met the woman who is now my wife while I created Cyberfrog, and she was there, and it just everything just seems to it's all through the power of prayer. I really firmly believe that this is all being guided by God. And I've got people who are saying, "Oh, don't believe in that stuff. Don't believe in that stuff, Ethan." No, I'm watching it happen real time. You guys don't like everybody who's looking in on this. They've just seen one miracle happen in our life.
Yep.
And they think that's it. There's so much more going on right now. And don't worry, Mike, we haven't forgotten you. We haven't forgotten you.
The power of Ethan.
Yeah. You know, just keep working, work hard, stay loyal, be good. We haven't forgotten you.
When is the final night? When is the final day of the Lone Star? Of the Lone Star campaign. Is it going to be a weekday or is it going to be a weekend?
I think it's the 14th. Am I wrong? What day? I don't even know what day it is today. It's July 31st. So I think the 12th. Like, yeah. I don't know if that's 12th at midnight morning or midnight evening. You know,
it's weird. The last day is like 36 hours because it said one day, and I was like, I assume that meant 24 hours, and it just went on and on. I closed down my store, and it's still open.
Yeah.
Oh, the in-demand thing.
I don't. They're just like First of all, I got a message from them that said we'll contact you ASAP. Like, like that was really, and and I didn't hear from them, and the store is still open. And I was talking to who was I talking to? All I do is talk. I was just like, it doesn't feel great. It makes me feel like a liar. I said the store wasn't going to be open, and the store is open, and I can't close it.
Right.
and I'm, you know, it's like they won't let me close it. And someone said, yeah, it takes a few days for the store to close once you've closed it, opened it.
Well, at
I don't
least
know what the hell that is.
your confusion and not understanding Indiegogo happened at the end of your campaign.
Yeah. I was still making money though. I mean, the money's still coming in. So I mean, that's a nice thing. But you know, I wanted it to be done. You want people to be like, hey, this is a limited, you know, this is a limited item. Once it's finished, it's finished. You can't get it anymore. In this case, I mean, leaving the store open kind of sends the wrong message. So, you know, I do want to close it down. Somebody said, hey, I'm not getting paid until Friday. I mean, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he'll be able to, you know, he'll get the book after all. But I, you know, I really do want to close this thing down ASAP. It's enough. And I really, you know, Zach was saying this. He was saying it'll really take something out of you. I didn't believe him, but it really does. It wears you down. And you know, I'm making so many YouTube videos. I'm doing so many live streams. I'm focused, you know, so much on the campaign. I don't get to draw as much as I want to draw. I want to just put on a movie and just kind of settle in and you know, and draw this stuff that's been haunting me for 10 years. Finally get it out on paper. And Mike, you're exactly right. You know, these SJWs are gloating. They think it's like the best thing in the world that like you know, I'm not at DC. They have their weirdo theories about what happened, like why I'm not at DC. They're 100% wrong. I read this bizarre essay.
Oh
It
yeah,
was like,
somebody's fanfic.
yeah, they made him a counter offer that was too low, and that was their way. And then they were just waiting for Gail Simone to do. No, that's not. No, none of that's true. Gail Simone, by the way, Gail Simone's Plastic Man book, that got approved while I was still working at DC on DC Rebirth. They actually came to me and asked my permission. Dan DiDio called me and said, he's like, it looks like you're busy with Hal Jordan, and we really do want to put out a Plastic Man book. Gail's got a pitch in? Is it okay? And I said, yeah, I think that's cool. I think Gail should be the one to do Plastic Man. They asked my permission and I gave it, and Gail even knows that. So it's so funny. It's like I was like, Gail, you know that they asked, and I laughed with her. I said, you know, they just asked my permission to give you that Plastic Man book, right? And she's like, yeah, I know. I said, I gave it, of course. You know, I mean, it's like, I mean, these weirdos, they're all so creepy and soy based. And it's like, guys, do you understand? It's like the world, there's a world outside of like Marvel and DC Comics. I know that you all cling to the outside of it. I've been inside of it for 20 years and I've been it. You know, it's like for many years, I was DC Comics. I was working with Jeff Johns on the very biggest properties, creating the most important projects at DC Comics. I've been to the mountaintop. It's okay. I made a little money. I'm doing my own thing now, and it's so much better. It's so much better. There's no limit. When you're working at DC and Marvel Comics, there is an upper limit to the amount of money that you can make. And I've made it.
Yeah.
There is no higher page rate than I was getting. There isn't one. So, you know, that's it. That's it. And it was fine. It was good. We did fine. We were making a comfortable 6 figures every year.
How much of that was your royalty revenues then?
Royalties are pretty good. I'm still getting royalties because I created properties for DC Comics that will never go away. I mean, you know, the stuff that I created for DC is used in the movies. It's used in the Flash TV show. It's used in the Arrow TV show. It's used in video games. What's that?
Used in Injustice too.
Yeah, Injustice 2. I got a big check for creating Iron Heights, which was mentioned in the Justice League movie. Those people lost $350 million on the Justice League, and they still sent me a check for like 16 grand, which I appreciate. You know, it's like I would have been like, it's okay, keep it. But you know, look, the world of comics doesn't begin and end with DC and Marvel, and I love working at DC. I'll go back and I'll do something again for DC one day, but no time soon. Do you understand? What we're doing here is we're actually starting a movement, and this movement is going to carry on, and it's going to, I believe, rescue the comic book industry. And when you find out what we're up to, you're going to say, "Oh my God, look what they did." The comic book industry cannot rescue itself in the predicament that it is
No.
currently in.
No.
For so many reasons, it can't do it.
Well, it's too abstracted. It's too abstracted from customers.
You can't see the problem. It's incapable of seeing the problem.
There's two layers of separation between. There's 2 layers of separation between the people making comics and the people, the end purchaser. There's 2 layers of abstraction.
They could solve that. They could solve that if they changed their general attitude. What I'm talking about is something that they legally cannot solve. A situation that they find themselves in that limits them, and we're fixing it. So look, the future is so very, very bright. It's just so very, very bright. And when you see a property like Cyberfrog being received by the fans, when you see what we can do for them and what they can do for us in return, you realize that it's all about going back to 1961, and finding yourself in this position where comics had stagnated for 10 years because of stodgy conservative thinking. And I don't mean conservative politically, even though it was. I'm referring to Frederick Wordham. I'm referring to this these attitudes that were holding comics back. And it wasn't until Stan Lee shows up in 1961 with Jack Kirby and breaks down the borders again and finds a way around all of that. Finds a way around that. It creates enthusiasm and excitement within comics again. That's what we're doing. I mean, that's what this is. That's what Comicsgate is. And there are a lot of people that are scared. There are a lot of people that are angry, and they're vicious. I mean, the things they're saying about me are ugly and vicious and untrue. And just insane. I mean, just rabidly insane. I cannot help these people.
And there are a lot of people also, Ethan, who are waiting for us to finish forging this path so they can follow.
Those people are welcome because, look, I mean,
scary being a pioneer.
You want some perspective? Let me give you some perspective. We're tracking now, me, Umbrella, and a guy named John De La Rose are tracking indie comic projects that are kind of either in Comicsgate or very proximal to Comicsgate. And let's see, as of 6 p.m. Eastern time, the 13 titles that I'm tracking, and a couple of those are even closed, but the 13 titles have now raised 1.25, so 1,260,000. And we're only talking about over about a 3-month period. This is brand new. So I can only imagine what that number is going to look like a year from now.
It's peanuts. It's peanuts.
Yeah.
I mean,
watch your mouth. Just kidding.
I didn't say penis. I said peanuts. Yeah, I mean, look, it's there's so much more to do. I don't know why this has to be me. I don't know why this has to be us. I don't know. I don't know why. But it does. This has fallen to us. And I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
We're standing in the gap.
Yeah. I hope everyone understands. I mean no one any harm. I know we've had some conflict, in the community. I wish we didn't. I wish we were all unified. I worry about that all the time. But man, I really want things to be better, and I know we can make it better. People want comic books. People do want comics. They want comics to be good. They want fun, colorful comics.
People want to come back to comic books, which is amazing.
Well, they're willing to. You just have to sell them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so weird. These SJWs are like, they're conning people into buying comics. No, we're offering them bright, exciting product that they want to buy and saying, "Do you want to buy it?" And they're saying, "Yep." And I mean, this is the thing.
But you hear that contempt, yeah? You hear how stupid they believe people are, how simple and stupid people are. And like everybody I talk to, for the most part, are bright, energetic, and discerning people that think stuff through.
They hate the fans. You can't you cannot possibly overstate that. They hate the fans. They hate us. They hate the fans. And I don't know what exactly they want. Like if I spend any time thinking about, what it was, what their ideal circumstance was, like
They want an echo
grudgingly.
chamber. It's so simple. All they want is an echo chamber.
But what do they want? How do they want to make money? How do they want to sell their books? Who buys their books in their ideal reality?
They want their fans to inherit all the money from their dead conservative parents.
Well, I hope they all do. I think that's fine, but they can't be trusted with this industry anymore.
You can't be
They
trusted.
can't be trusted.
Well, now you're at an interesting spot now, because you're at the moment you're at the top of the mountain, and so when some of these blue-haired weirdos want to get some street cred with the SJW Scooby Gang, one of them needs to run over and
They come up to me. They come after me.
Yeah. Punching up at Ethan is how they get their street cred.
Yeah, I know, and they say that. They actually say that. They say stuff like that. Look, I'm trying to find. Here's the thing. I'm an imperfect man. I like to fight. My instinct is to fight with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten in trouble for doing that before. Like, I forget myself, and I'll go ahead and tell somebody to kill themselves if I'm really angry.
I still don't think that was wrong, Ethan. That was you got so stupid.
I got railroaded.
On
Well,
that.
you missed it, Ethan. I told Mike the story of how I stabbed somebody in the Army for fun. And it was mutual. Well, we were just playing around. Playing around. But men
And then I
roughhouse with each other. That's just how it is.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm learning how to mute people. I mean, the mature thing to do is just to go, this person is looking for my attention. It's intriguing that they're looking for my attention. I want to slap them down. But me slapping them down isn't going to make them stop. They're just they want more and more of my attention. These people want the D. They want the D. That's what they want. And so you just have to mute them. You have to mute them, or they'll just keep coming.
It's a new thing for me too, dude. I always prided myself on only blocking people for being absolute douchebags. But when I started getting on Twitter, I'm like, I don't have time for you. So
right, that's a good thought process. Like, I don't have time for you, and you don't have time for them.
Right.
You might have the energy for them, and I do. I've got that bzzz thing going on. Like, oh, I'm gonna chase these people. This rabbit. I'm gonna chase this rabbit right down in the hole.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
You got to just mute them and move on, and let them talk. They're gonna talk. They're gonna talk. And people send me screenshots of the awful things these SJWs are saying about me. I'm like, you don't understand. I know they're saying these things. Oops. I know they're saying these things. I know they're talking. I don't need to hear it. It doesn't. What I want us to all kind of understand that there's evil in the world, and I think these people are evil, and keep ourselves separate from it, because we have to create something positive. I mean, there are kids out there that cannot get comic books. There are kids who are 12.
Well, they
14.
shouldn't. They shouldn't. Not from these people.
Not from them.
This material is not appropriate for anybody's children. Not even these SJW weirdos. Even if they manage to, I don't know, decant some babies, it's not even appropriate for them. Ugh.
No, I quite agree. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find a new battery for my.
Gentlemen, I've got to finish making dinner. Ethan, have a safe flight. Have a safe flight back from Arkansas tomorrow, and God bless you, brother.
All right, God bless you, Edwin.
All right, night, Mike.
Night, aloha.
Let's see if this one works. Sorry, Mike.
It's only me and you and me. No matter how they toss the dice.
All right. Did that work? Hold on. Yeah, it did. It did. Okay,
You sound melodious.
So, I mean, this is the thing. Kids should not be reading these comics. They're not trustworthy. People making them are not worthy of trust. these are not adults who have grown up. I'm getting comfortable. These are not adults that have grown up in a way that they should be influencing our kids. They're
Yeah,
not.
I mean, this is a problem I've seen since the '90s, though. It's that they tried to, they never tried to cater to kids like after the '80s, and so the entire industry grew up like we're all a bunch of freaking 40-year-old men, and so they wanted to grow up and have all these like super mature themes and just turn it into something that us as kids in the '80s wouldn't even recognize.
Yeah, that's right. We're not shooting for kids anymore. We're not trying to make these things for kids.
Right.
But
the
we
best
say
stuff,
we are, though.
The best stuff is, I mean, like the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. It was great for kids and it was great for adults because there were layers of humor. Like the kids weren't laughing at the stuff the adults were laughing at, but sometimes they commingled. And
well, funny is funny. The Bugs Bunny films were funny. But yeah, you're right. I mean, comic books, a good comic book. I could read Secret Wars. The original Secret Wars series. I come back to that because I just feel like that was Marvel in Marvel's prime.
Yeah.
Before it got weird. I mean, the McFarlane era, the Image era was great, but it was a little weird. Marvel in its prime was like Secret Wars.
Yeah.
1985, 86, 84, 85, 86.
Yep.
You look at that and you just go, this is so good. Kids would definitely read this. Kids would definitely be interested in this. I can read it as an adult, and I can kind of acknowledge that it's gonna hit me differently now at age 43. It's gonna seem a little bit dopier than it did to me when I was 13. But I still like it. It's still great. It still does something to my heart.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of comics that I want to do. I mean, what do you think Cyberfrog is? It's, it definitely has some, hopefully it'll have some intrigue for people my age. But it's a big frog fighting like scary bugs that like drink blood. I mean, it's like, it is for 13, 14, 15-year-olds who wear heavy metal t-shirts to school.
Yeah.
It's young angsty teens. It's just teens who it's got a little bit of gross out humor. I mean, that's what we should be doing. I mean, that's our target audience, I would think, or who we should try for. Now, how do we get those comics? How do we get these comics in front of kids these days? Nobody goes to comic shops. We have all these problems. We have just all these problems to surmount. If we're going to do what we can to save comics. I'm just one dude. I'm in my 40s. I feel like this is the prime time. This is when I'm supposed to be trying to do something good.
Hey man, you still haven't reached 44, and that's how old Jack Kirby was when he created Fantastic Four, right?
Well, I'll be there in a few months.
Yeah. Dude, I'll be 47 next month.
Really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'll remind you the day before.
Oh yeah. So what's the plan? Lone Star number 2?
Yep. I'm gonna get this in the can, and I'm gonna try to launch the next Indiegogo. I'm gonna try to launch it 3 months from the launch of the first one. So I want to try to keep this on a quarterly schedule for the next 4 quarters, because it's 3 quarters. And then after that, I'm gonna do the Nuclear Family, and I'm hoping that by then I will have built up enough of an audience and enough of a constant growth level that I can invest in some of my other properties and hire other teams.
Yeah, that's the challenge. The challenge is keeping your YouTube channel growing, and keeping your platform growing all the time. It's your platform. That's what matters. And you have to actually. It's a daily thing. It is. That's first thing you said to me.
about YouTube. You have to do it every day, Mike.
Every day, and people just, you can't flirt with it if you're going to take it seriously. I mean, if you're going to, have a loyal audience, you've got to provide content to them every single day.
Yeah.
There's some people who don't have to. I mean, there's some big YouTubers like Medicare who can just put out a new video every 2 weeks, and the same amount of people, if not more, will come and watch it just because he's got such a reputation for quality and people really like him. But most of us just have to do this every single day, and that is something else. It's a daily thing. I have to wake up in the morning and tell Andrea, I got to go down and make my video. Do that. It's so fun. It's like a new part of our life. I got to go downstairs and make my video so people driving to work have something to listen to.
It's drive time with EBS.
Yeah. And, people, like, you want that. You want them to actually be like, hey, I didn't have a video to listen to on my way to work this morning. What's the matter with you? All right. Yeah. Well, I'll do it. I'll make sure that I get it up there tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the kind of audience that you want to get. You want to have something to say. It takes a while to have something to say. I'm always impressed by diversity in comics, who always has something to say.
Yeah. Until you get him on a live stream.
Yeah.
He was good yesterday. He was really.
He was actually good. For the first time, like he stuck out with us for like 3 hours, and I was impressed. I think he's changing his attitude about some things.
Oh yeah.
I think he's gonna start. Yeah, I think he's gonna start to take his YouTube a little more seriously. I think he's gonna start to take comics a little bit more seriously. I mean, this is the thing. Like, he was chosen. I mean, it's like he was chosen to be a voice right at this point in time.
Yeah.
He's got to get better at it, and he's got to take it more seriously. I mean, his Comedy Central interview, he was terrible at it. He was terrible.
I was so shocked that happened. I'm not shocked at the hit piece, but the fact that he agreed to do it, it's like so like.
There was no talking him out of it. He was just like, I think when he told me he was doing it, he was trying to get on Joe Rogan. Like, he's obsessed with Joe Rogan. He wants to go on Joe Rogan. I'm like, why? Joe Rogan. All right, so while he was trying to get on Joe Rogan, he gets this other offer, and he figures, I think part of him just kind of thought, well, I'll parlay this into an appearance on Joe Rogan. And I was like, I don't even know who Jim Jeffries is. He's like, he's a comedian. I'm like, is he left? He must be left, right? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Kinda. And he wasn't really prepared for it. I mean, it's like he went in there and just got roughed up. He went in there just thinking he was going to charm his way out of it or something. I don't know. I would have. I hope he learned something from it. But I mean, he has to learn from that. He has to. We all have to learn from our mistakes, or we die.
Yeah.
It's like that's, that it's as serious as that. It's like you have to learn from your mistakes, or you're going to keep making them, and you're going to die. And not necessarily in a literal way, but his YouTube channel is going to die. His opportunities are going to die. So, I'm glad to see that he's able to talk. But the thing about diversity, or talk like more with other people. But the thing about him is that he's really good when he's by himself, and he's just rattling off ideas about the culture that have occurred to him while he was reading a single comic book or an article on the internet. And his ideas are usually pretty dead on, which is why he has continued and persisted. And his enemies just, they won't grant him that. Like, they won't grant him that, well, he's just completely stupid. No, he's not. He's making a lot of great points that people agree with and understand and feel. Cogent thoughts.
Yeah, he formulates thoughts that people have like in the back of their head, but they can't grasp it.
They can't articulate them. Yeah, he's able to do it, and I think that's why he has 83,000 subscribers. It takes a long time to learn how to talk on YouTube. It takes a long time. I'm always telling Andrea, all I do is talk now. That's all I do is talk every single day,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Any question?
Just my son's behind me.
I see him. How you doing? Yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, they're like, "You barely do comics anymore. Just admit that you're a full-time YouTuber." I'm like, I wish I could be. It's like, are you kidding me? I'd love to be a full-time YouTuber. It's so fun.
A lot of full-time YouTubers make way more money than we'd ever make doing comics.
That is correct. Listen, I'm doing great on YouTube.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm making my DC salary on YouTube.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
When he told me months ago that I could make a lot of money on YouTube, I really should have listened to him back then.
Yeah, you need to get started ASAP. I mean, that's how it is. I always tell people, I wish I could have started earlier than I did. But it really is just about persistence. It's about finding what your audience wants to hear you talk about. You can talk about anything. I mean, you want to talk about the Bible, you can talk about the Bible.
And I do. Yeah, I mean, that's people ask me about it, and I'm like, just whatever you're interested in, other people on Earth are interested in that same thing.
Find you. They will find you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the theologian / comic book artist. Come and watch me draw while I talk about the Book of Theologians, or what's another Bible book?
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Lamentations, Nehemiah.
Lamentations is great. That's the book I want to read. I want to read about bitching. It's like the book is literally named about bitching and complaining and whining. Yeah, I want to read that. Let me read that for a little while.
Yeah.
I want to quote from the Book of Lamentations every single day. What is it about? Is it about whining? What is the Book of Lamentations actually about?
Yeah, it's a lot of life is a vapor. Life is let me read something.
So fun.
It's all, what is it? What's the? Oh, it's all vanity. Everything's vanity. But the Lord is with me as a mighty, awesome one. Therefore, my persecutors will stumble and will not prevail. They will be greatly ashamed, for they will not prosper. Their everlasting confusion will be never forgotten. That is perfect for us right now.
Yeah.
Let me read that again. But the Lord is with me as a mighty, awesome one. Therefore, my persecutors will stumble and will not prevail. They will be greatly ashamed, for they will not prosper. Their everlasting confusion will never be forgotten. How did God land on that scripture while we're talking about this?
Isn't that amazing? That is the hand of God.
Right? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got chills. That is so crazy.
It's encouraging. Think about that. Think about having God with you so your enemies will stumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's reassuring.
I'm gonna tweet that later.
And they are stumbling.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
That is it's prophecy right there for us. So what time is it in your neck of the woods?
I don't know. I'm in Arkansas. Where are you? You're in California?
California, yeah.
I think I'm like an hour or two ahead of you. I don't know.
I think it's 2 hours. So
I got to get up at like 7 a.m. to catch a flight. And
go home and draw some frogs.
Yeah, I've just got so much going on in my head, and I can't sleep. Too much exciting stuff is going on.
Can't even talk about it.
No, I can't talk about it. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's all good. It's going to make a difference in the world. It's going to make a difference in the world.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I just want people to read my comics. I don't care about anything else. I just want people to read my comics and pay me for them.
Well, you got that part down.
Yeah, well, we'll see if I can do it again. You know, I mean, that's, you know, it's easy to do it once, maybe. Can I do it again with Rainbow Brute?
If you thought that was easy.
Well, it wasn't hard. I mean, you know, it wasn't hard, like not relative to earning $538,000 should have been harder than that.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, can we raise something similar for Rainbow Brute? I could do Rainbow Brute and then stumble out of the gate, you know, just $10,000 and then barely get funded, and that's it. That could happen. In which case, I'm a joke. But the fans aren't there. They were never there. But I don't know. I have a good feeling about it. I think everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. I think
These fans, you can tell them. You can tell them just, hey, catch me. That's how good they are. You can just say, explain what you're doing and say, hey, I want your support.
Yeah, they're right there, man. They're it's crazy. I mean, it's so amazing how I don't even have the words for it. Like seeing fans at a convention is one thing, you know, and then like occasionally on Facebook or whatever. But the interaction you can have with them on YouTube is like this whole different level of, I don't know, intimacy, I guess is the word. Maybe that's probably the right word. It's I don't know, it's palpable, I guess.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Stick with it. What are you drawing?
Drawing page 22 of Lone Star. This is sort of a B story.
Looks great.
Thank you. What are you drawing?
Nothing. I'm going to sleep. I drew nothing today. I drew nothing yesterday. And I'm tired. Like I just have to be places. I have to do things, and those things don't involve drawing. I really want to go home and just get back to work. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Tomorrow I will wake up. I'll get to the airport. I'll make a video at the airport, and I'm just going to get home and draw. Nobody's going to bother me.
That sounds like a fantastic plan.
Yes, sir. And you have a good night.
You too, brother.
And I will talk to you when I
Hey,
get
wait. You gotta. Anybody? You want to shout out your webpage? No.
I don't have anything to shout out anyway. Yeah, go. Yeah, there's nothing. I can't say Sciver Pro. Well, yeah, go subscribe to me at Comic Artist Pro Secrets, please, if you haven't yet. Appreciate it. And go back. Absolutely, go back Lone Star. That needs support. That needs material support from people who want good comics. Go do that now, please.
Right on. And since you are on the Aloha Hour, I will let you say aloha to the fans.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Shaka.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.